Let's go over the truck pull basics. First, the harness. You want the belt of the harness around your hips. If it's too high, it'll impede your breathing. If it's too low, it'll impede your footwork. The straps, you want a little loose, and we'll explain that here in a minute. Where you're hooked up at should be right around where your tailbone is. That is the most efficient area to be hooked into the harness. Like I said, if it's any higher, it'll impede your breathing, but also leverage-wise, you're working against yourself. The straps, a lot of times people think they have to have them really, really tight. It's not the case. So what happens is when you lean into the harness, see how they get tight? They're tight, like that. There's no need to have them tight when it's just on your body. The other trick is, if you have a harness that has like adjustable pads, move those pads back all the way. And you're thinking, well, why? Because that helps protect the shoulder. What happens is if those pads are to the front, it impedes your shoulder mobility to acquire the guide rope. If you put the pads back and all you have to do is worry about the straps like this, I can instantly feel where I can acquire the rope far easier than if the thick pad was in position. It's almost like holding my arm back to a degree. Now, it depends on your body type, body size. Like say if you're a huge dude and you're like 300 plus pounds, you probably don't have to worry about that too much, but I'm a little guy, and so putting them back like that is a huge advantage for me. The other thing to consider is body angle. What we see a lot in contests is people starting out with the truck pull like this. They're standing basically straight up and they have the guide rope and they're pulling it in and it's all upper body. That is so inefficient. You're gonna get so worn out by doing that. What you wanna do is you wanna be able to get into position to where you basically can touch the floor, like so, okay? If you can't touch the floor, you're probably too high. It's like this guy, he's got a low center of gravity. Huh. Yes, you do. Lean away. Nope, nope, nope. All right, move forward. A little forward, a little bit more. Get the slack out. All right, now put your feet back a little bit. You're not going to fall over. No, no. Lean forward. Oh, yeah. All right, now put your feet back. No, 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 not like that. So you get in position. Make sure that you're angled away from the vehicle. You're not going to fall over. See? I'm not going to fall over. Weight's holding me. Vehicle's holding me. Your foot position is vital. I always advocate having your feet roughly shoulder width apart, like you're like in a walking stance, and in a power position. So when you start, you're kind of like in this position here. You know, kind of, well, he's kind of in the way. I don't know if you can see it or not, but you're in like a quarter squat position. You can get away with your feet wide in the initial pull. However, you cannot continue pulling the truck with your feet wide. What happens is people will start out and they'll get fatigued and their feet will go wider because their quads are burning, their calves are burning, and they want to incorporate their hips a little bit more. And so as they put their feet wider, or they'll flail their feet like this because they don't have any strength in their calves, they'll start moving left and right, okay? That is absolutely inefficient. You want to be able to pull in a straight line as much as possible. Remember, don't start like this either, like this, like in a sprint position, because we've had people think that they're just going to run with the vehicle. You are not going to sprint with 20,000 pounds attached to your ass. Remember, think of it as shifting gears. First, second, third. You want a lot of torque in the beginning, so get that quarter squat position here. You got that guide rope outstretched, so when you pull off, you do like a quarter squat, you're pulling hard into your abdomen. From there, you don't want to take a big step like so. That's going from first to third gear. You want to go first gear, first gear, first gear. Get the truck rolling. Once the truck starts rolling, shift it into second gear where you can actually have a little bit more foot spacing. However, that's about it. You don't want to have huge steps, huge strides. Short, choppy steps is what you want with the truck. Another thing to consider is you'll be pulling hard with the guide rope as well, if it's included in the event. Your hands and your forearms will get a huge pump and you'll lose dexterity, finger dexterity. And by the time you get halfway or 3/4 of the way through, you'll have a hard time acquiring the rope because the pump is so huge in your forearms. So condition your hands. It's vital for this. Oftentimes what you'll see is people will throw the guide rope away, and then they'll stand up and they'll try to power through like that. More times than not, what happens is actually the truck slows down to the point where it's almost stopped by the time they get to the finish line. The other thing to consider is think about accelerating throughout the whole course. The initial pull is going to be tough. It's going to be really, really hard depending on the size of the vehicle. Then you have to have the muscular endurance to pull through. But even if you're in the last 10 feet of the course, don't let up. Try to accelerate all the way up to the finish. Shoes. I'm old school. I would always just wear the same shoes that I would for everything else. But then again, I couldn't afford anything else. Back in the day, rock climbing shoes were a thing. I think they might still be a thing. Wear shoes that you find have the most traction for the surface that you're going to be on. So it depends on the person. It could be work boots. It could be just trainers, rock climbing shoes. One thing to really keep in mind though is no matter what type of shoe that you're wearing, tie them tight. Put them on tight, because I have seen several times, and I've done it myself, where you're pulling the vehicle and you're pulling so hard, you pull yourself completely out of your shoe. So make sure that your shoes are untight. Rope assist that they'll most likely have in a truck pull. When you get in, just don't grab the rope. Grab outstretch, I should say, and pull it in. Try to get that rope as tight as you possibly can. Use it almost like an elastic band, that stored energy. You want to be able, when they blow the whistle or say go, man, you're pulling, you already have a lot of tension in that rope. So if it's slack, if there's a lot of slack in the rope, they blow the whistle and you pull, you're missing an opportunity to put in a lot of tension in pulling the vehicle. Make sure that your hands are outstretched, super tight. So when they say go, man, you're pulling this thing into your abdomen as you're pressing into the floor, pushing away from the vehicle. When you first start pulling the truck, it may very well feel like it's not moving at all. Keep the tension on. Keep it in low gear. Get that high torque in, Don't put your feet out wide or outstretched. Keep pulling and pulling and pulling. The truck is probably moving at a very slow rate. However, if you keep the tension on, it will increase in speed a little bit. The trick is not to let up on any tension. Keep that tension on tight throughout the whole course, start to finish. The moment you let up, that truck will slow down, especially if it's up on an incline at all. Remember, you start out, it's going to be tough. It's going to feel like you put everything into this thing and just to get it rolling. But once you get it rolling, you're kind of golden. Keep the tension on, and that's when strength endurance comes into play. Oh, that's so hard to keep a straight face.